Hi, my name is Martin and welcome to this quick look at the new features in OpenInsight version 9 and 9.1. Probably two of the best OpenInsight releases, as there is something for developers, teams of developers, VARs, end users, just about everybody involved with OpenInsight and using OpenInsight applications. Version 9 was always intended to be a major release followed by the 9.01 patch. However, as the patch was coming together, a number of new feature projects were being completed, and Revelation ultimately found another full release on their hands, and it was eventually released as 9.1. This video will not look at all of these changes simply because it would take far too long. There have been literally thousands of entities that have been enhanced over the two releases, countless bugs have been fixed, user requests addressed, and of course the new features added, and it's these new features that I'll concentrate on over the next few minutes. It seems to be becoming a habit of mine, but I'll split this video into two parts, actually three. The first PowerPoint presentation will be split over two videos, and then in the third we'll look at some of the new features in action using OpenInsight 9.1. So effectively two sections of the video, the PowerPoint and then the demo, with the PowerPoint being split over two. To avoid the death by PowerPoint syndrome, I'll run through the slides pretty quickly, touching on the more important points. However, please pause the video if you wish to view the slide in more detail, or consult the 9.1 README file, which has all of the details for both releases. Many of the bug fixes are extremely important and useful, and I'd strongly recommend every OpenInsight developer review the README, even if you're not planning an upgrade imminently. Okay, so let's look at some of the general points. There are a number of new features that fall under the general heading. I'm sorry, but this is going to be a big slide, as it is worth running through each of these bullet points individually. However, I'll work through them as quickly as possible. So the first is a new window called syscopy apps. This has been added to copy entities or applications to a different application. Another request that I have had from a number of people has been the ability to create a single setup.exe to send to clients. The RDK now has this facility to create a single exe file for updates. In addition, when using repository checkout to a directory that does not exist, the system will now prompt you and it will create the directory. The Rev.NET API simply enables OpenInsight to integrate with .NET controls. This has already been covered in my previous video representation of the Rev.NET Quick Start Guide, and I would recommend that you review that video to get an overview of the benefits and its use within the OpenInsight environment. .NET Explorer is an OpenInsight window that enables you to explore .NET controls. This window is also covered in the Rev.NET Quick Start Guide video. The Task Scheduler is an OpenInsight front end to the Windows control panel scheduled tasks. And the Indexer config is a front end to scheduling indexing utilizing the Task Scheduler and the Engine server. OE Run was included in 9.1 for use with the Task Scheduler. It is intended to be called from the Windows Task Scheduler, but it can also be called from batch files. 9.1 includes the ability to send email from within OpenInsight using authenticated login or SSL. This is achieved through the use of CDO mail. And Send Fax enables you to provide the facility to send a fax from OpenInsight using the standard Windows fax server that is included in XP, Vista, Server 2003 and Server 2008. If you need to create unique keys without using locking, then Create GUID can be used to generate a globally unique ID based key. MD5 enables one-way MD5 hashes. This can let you validate passwords, credit cards or SSN without having to store them. JSON allows you to generate JSON formatted data. This is useful for custom web programming using AJAX techniques, and RSS is an example of reading RSS feeds in JSON format. Many people have asked for a way to get a network username. This can now be achieved using Get Network Username. Version 9 saw the release of a brand new IDE that is written using the OpenInsight Toolkit. The IDE can be launched manually through the System Monitor, and it can also be launched through a new IDE command line switch on your Windows shortcut. When launching OpenInsight, the swap_database command reads the config IDE record in the sysenv table. It will use the field position specified in field_pos value of the IDE command line switch. The config IDE record has a default of RTI_IDE_MDI. Therefore, If you specify /IDE equals 1 on the command line when launching OpenInsight, then the new IDE will be displayed. If you specify /IDE equals 2, the system will look at the second field in the config IDE record and launch the appropriate window. Of course, the system does expect to launch a window. Okay, looking at the database manager, a new environment setting has been added into the database manager. This enables a default background color or colors to be defined for all windows in the system. A new page and tab have been added to the environment settings window. This tab, labeled Window Form Settings, allows the developer to set default behaviors for a form's background color, gradient, edit table, focus cell settings, and graphical menu settings. Within the table builder, several people have recently requested that we include support for G or group type fields. These are now supported from version 9 onwards. A new description field is available when creating a new table. This description appears when you are choosing a table in the reporting tools. When dictionary records are updated, the username of the user who made the changes is stored in field 13 of the dictionary record. The dict equates insert has been updated to reflect this, and it should help IT managers with teams of developers to better track these changes. The limitation of entering only 23 characters for a default value on a dictionary field in the edit table column attribute screen has also been removed. Moving on to the Forms Designer and the Presentation Manager, the combo box populator has been enhanced to support a sort by tag. This allows 4 sort options to be applied to a combo box. The 4 options are ascending left and right and descending left and right. In addition, literal items can be added to the list, and they will appear at the top of the drop down with the sorted list following below. There have been numerous enhancements to the edit table control for OpenInsight 9 and 9.1, and we'll take a look at these using a test window in the second half of the presentation. There have also been a number of new messages included for the send message function to enable developers to take full control of these new features. 5 new focus cell properties have been added for the edit table. As the name implies, these all affect the cell that has focus. They enable a specific font to be defined for a cell, for the foreground and background colors to be set, and for the thickness, style and color of the cell border to be controlled. This makes working with the edit table very much easier for users. Menus have been modified to support graphics and textual separators, giving your application an immediate facelift and a more contemporary look. Both the menu and the context menu designers have been modified to enable you to add graphics and separators into your menus without having to write any code. A number of new example windows have been included to help illustrate some of the new features included in the 9x releases. These include a window for testing edit table drag and drop, for testing context menus, for testing the new edit table styles included in OpenInsight 9, and also for testing edit table drop down lists and checkboxes. There has only been one notable enhancement to the UI workspace. The pop-up, message and app note screens have all been modified by adding a button to them. This button will take a basic plus code required to create the pop-up, message or app note, and you can then load that into the system's clipboard. It can then be simply pasted and reused just about anywhere. This PowerPoint presentation will continue in part 2.